right? This is what most agencies will do. They execute a process based on tools, data. They come back with a strategy that's based in SEO, and then they go execute an SEO strategy. But oftentimes there's a disconnect between, the SEO focus that they just had and what the client really needs to achieve for success.
So first, let's talk about Human First SEO. So we talk a lot about Human First SEO, revenue-focused solution. What does that actually mean?
Human First SEO is all about putting humans or people at the center of the SEO process. So specifically, when we work with our clients, we look at what are the problems that they are solving for their customers, right? Really trying to understand who their customers are. We spend a lot of time doing things like persona development, persona mapping across the content strategy and content approach, where the connection that we're trying to make on behalf of our clients with their customers is the main focal point of what we're doing. So the strategies that we actually create are going to be business aligned, usually revenue focused. And what that means is that we seek to understand truly what the goals are that our clients have that are meaningful to their businesses, right? That could be, and often is, revenue generation to some level, right? It could be penetrating a new market, a new geographic market. It could be promoting a new product or a new service that has a high priority within the organization. It could be offsetting paid search costs, right? So it can be strategic goals as well. But that's the starting point, right? What are the goals of our clients? We create a strategy based on that, and then based on our understanding of who they are, what they do, who their customers are, and the pain points that they are solving for. So it's understanding those people, those relationships, in the vein of trying to achieve those business goals. Once we've created that strategy, now we're going into everything that we're doing on the SEO side to validate or to pivot or to expand on that strategy. But the point is, what we're not doing is saying, hey, what are your keywords? And now we're going to create an SEO strategy based on SEO data. The strategy has to be based on the critical relationships of the people involved and the business itself.
Gotcha. And so how does that differ? You kind of went into it a little bit there, but how does that differ from what you would normally see an SEO agency or an SEO strategy executed in the past? How is that different?
Yeah, so what I've seen, and we're now in our 12th year of business, so I've seen, there's a lot of companies that do SEO, digital marketing agencies that do it. There's SEO specific agencies. One challenge that I can tell you that exists in our world is this balance of scalability, right? So what I often see is that in order for agencies to scale and grow, they create very specific processes that usually involve executing with SEO tools in a step-by-step process that can be trained on and followed and does not require a ton of critical thinking, or at least not for that whole process. And when you execute a process that can scale, it's easy to follow, you're less dependent on your talent, right? So essentially, if you're going in and executing a process with an SEO, executing that process, if you do it well, will generate visibility. So you are going to generate impressions, you're going to generate rankings, visibility, and you're going to then generate traffic, right? You may even generate conversions. That's the idea, right? That this has business value. But what we often see is that if there is not the proper time and attention paid to the business and what the business goals are, the audience, those things that I just talked about, then you can end up in a scenario where you have increased rankings, you have increased visibility, traffic, even conversions, and it's not translating to growth on the business side of the customer. So what does it look like? It looks like, hey, we're not really asking questions about the business. We're not diving deep in to understand the business. Our world is SEO, right? This is what most agencies will do. They execute a process based on tools, data. They come back with a strategy that's based in SEO, and then they go execute an SEO strategy. But oftentimes there's a disconnect between the SEO focus that they just had and what the client really needs to achieve for success.
It seems like there might be to implement a strategy like that in the short term. You may not see the visibility that you would right away if you were just focused on those SEO tactics, but because that messaging is more tailored to the reader or the target audience, that would have a different impact on conversions. What have you seen from implementing that strategy over the last few years?
You mean in terms of implementing that business first strategy?
Yes.
Well, sometimes there can be a disconnect on data, right? If you are very SEO forward, you're following the metrics in the tools. You're looking at search volume, keyword difficulty, intent, right? All of these different signals that are in these tools. But if that's your guiding um, factor, and that works out right, then yeah, you might be able to get a higher percentage of a traffic increase because of that, because you were following keywords based on those metrics. You might be able to rank better in some of those scenarios, right? So you got better rankings, you drive more traffic. You might even get more conversions too, right? Because you're working that system. However, the end result of that is that lead quality may be very low, or it might just be that you missed the mark. The audience targeting wasn't right, right? You didn't spend enough time thinking about who you're actually trying to reach and the problems they're trying to solve, because you were really focused on what the keywords were, the volume, and how to get there, right? So what I see is that yes, it can sometimes take longer to take that more business aligned approach, but the objective and the reason that you spend that time is so that when those leads do come in a B2B world, that they are more valuable, that they are more on target with what our clients are actually trying to achieve, so they matter more, right? On the e-commerce side, it's so that you can ultimately drive more of those sales, because you've been taking the time to understand the audience instead of just driving traffic. Um, One thing that I will add, I just got back from Chicago e-commerce summit. I've talked to a lot of brands. I've talked to a lot of practitioners, and I've asked them if they have a business aligned SEO strategy, one that has revenue goals or one that has goals that are attached with their organization. And what I can tell you is that the vast majority, um, you know, 98%, that answer is no. Even in large organizations that have in-house teams and in all regards sophisticated marketing approaches. So there is a large opportunity here, I would say, to align what we're doing more effectively with businesses, and that doesn't just help our clients. It doesn't just help us. It helps SEO as a whole, right? Because when you start talking with brands that are playing in all these different channels, SEO is still kind of its own little like black box. It's almost like playing by its own rules, right? People still don't. A lot of people in marketing still don't really understand it, and so it's almost been to me like a crutch within the industry that we can say, okay, well, we can hang our hat on rankings and traffic because that's what we can truly control. Because revenue is hard, and it is hard, and sometimes you don't have control over it, right? But if we're hanging our hat in traffic and rankings, we're also saying we're okay with, well, if it didn't actually have value for the client, but we got traffic and rankings, we're okay. We did our job. And I think that's a cop out. And I think our clients deserve better. And I think the SEO industry as a whole needs to make sure that we're focused on the things that actually make a difference and actually matter. Because, people who are paying for SEO, maybe sometimes they don't know the difference, but if they had the choice, they wouldn't be paying for rankings and traffic. They would be paying for progress towards meaningful business outcomes. And I think as a whole in the SEO space, that's where we need to focus.